This is Playing to Win with Mark Henderson Leary and my good friend Brad Freyer. How are you, my friend Brad?
I am fantastic. You know why I'm so fantastic today, Mark?
No, I don't. We didn't talk about
Because
it at all.
I've got this song in my soul that I've just been dying to sing all morning. You want to know what this song is?
Oh, dear. I might have a guess.
It is
but go
Happy Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Henderson Leary. Happy birthday to you.
And I thought you
Happy birthday, my friend.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm 490 years old.
I was going to guess 486, but you don't look a day over 470.
I might be off by an order of magnitude, but that's approximately half a century, but not quite. Rounding up.
Almost, huh? This isn't the one. This isn't the big 50 yet. Not there yet. No.
I don't think so. My math has gotten good, or is not as good as it used to be, and I don't track these details like I used to. And when it was in the teens, it was much easier. But and certainly,
if the last number of your birth year is the last number of this year, that's the nice even number.
Oh, look at that! There you go. That helps. Yeah.
So when that happens, that's when you know you're there.
Yummy. Well, thank you for that. I didn't know you knew. You've been watching Facebook. How'd you know? Who told you?
I'm not going to lie. Carla and I were talking about this morning before you jumped on, and I said, "Hey, can we confirm this?" And she goes, "Yes, confirmed." And I said, "Okay, I'm not going to say anything until we jump on." So
nicely done. Well played.
Yeah.
I thought you didn't know. And now that took the thunder out. I was going to say it's my birthday. We're going to talk about that, and now you got it. Now you've got to talk about my birthday. Why is that important to you, Brad?
Well, my mom always likes to tell me about my birth, so perhaps you can tell me about your birth.
I don't remember.
You remember? You remember it vividly? It's getting bright.
I need sunglasses.
So another trip around the sun. How biggest lessons learned this past year?
Well, I don't know in your country, but in my country we had a pandemic. Did you read that? Was that in your news?
I saw that on a ticker on one of the news channels. One day.
So that taught me a lot. It's interesting. I mean, I could unpack a lot on this, and we don't have that kind of time, and it would be very therapeutic for me and very boring for you, I think. But it's a big year working on 50 for sure. I'm doing a lot of those things that you do at that age. Statistically speaking, people run a lot of marathons when your second digit is a 9, and there are a lot of accomplishments. And guess who signed up for marathon? I'm gonna miss the cusp. I'm gonna be 50. No, that's right. No, it'll be 49. Actually, I did it right. So I'll get it done in this year.
So have you ever run a marathon before?
No. Stupid idea, right?
So step one is what?
Run, buy shoes, Vaseline.
Shoes. Step one. So might I suggest buying a pamphlet on training for a marathon? There are some wonderful running.
Brad? Where does one buy a pamphlet?
I don't know. I don't even know why I said pamphlet. Okay. Yeah. So having attempted to train for a marathon once in my life and then realized this is the dumbest thing ever, I would advise joining a running club and getting.
You can't go to those clubs. Don't happen anymore. Like I tried to go to the Jeep Club this weekend. They didn't even show up. Nobody. Like these people. You're going to get me connected with somebody who meets.
So Memorial Park on Saturdays. I know there's groups that meet at Memorial Park on Saturdays.
All right.
But yeah. I mean, that's so, it's interesting because when is the race? September?
October is the one. I signed up for one West Texas.
Oh, okay. They got hills in West Texas?
I don't think so.
Okay. Depends on which part of West Texas. El Paso, yes.
This is
Lubbock, no.
It's a marathon. We'll see. It's marathon. It's near Alpine, and so it's near like Big Bend.
Okay. Oh, that'll be cool. But yeah, good shoes and a training program that inches you along.
I printed one out. I've been following it loosely.
And you got your own pamphlet. See? You printed a pamphlet.
So you'd like to run a marathon. Read all about it. for more information. So I've been doing it. I'll tell you what, it's been humbling. When I signed up for it, I was feeling pretty good about the progress I was making, and I'm pretty sure a metaphor is going to come for our content here. But so I started the training, and then I was making good progress, and then one day I felt like I kind of hit the wall on. It's not exactly what the wall is like, but I was exhausted. I had been hitting 6-7 miles, and this was a 6-mile run, and I just felt crushed. And what I discovered, or hypothesized and then later confirmed, is that a little bit of humidity and a lot of heat makes a huge difference, like a much bigger difference than I thought. I knew it would be a thing. I just thought it would be hotter.
Yeah.
It was like
a little bit more tired.
It's a lot more aggressive. So the advice was really figure out how to run in the coolest part of the day and really have a lot of compassion for oneself through the summer. But then if I can get through the summer, as I work towards into the fall, it will come at me, the endurance and all of it'll switch to a downhill training approach because of the humidity will be going down. So that's my thinking. If I can make it through the summer, that should be the easy part. But it is starting to get pretty hard. The length of these runs went from I'll run 30 minutes to 10 miles. And so my next long run is a 10-mile run, and I'm a little intimidated by that.
I would be too. I don't know that I've ever run 10 miles in my life. I get tired driving 10 miles, to be honest. So I don't think that would be a good thing for me.
You're not a road trip guy?
No. I'm not a road trip guy. I'm not a running guy. I've always said, if I'm running, you should probably start running too, because there's something likely chasing me. So you just go ahead and kick it in. But, it's interesting. So I was talking to a great friend of mine this weekend about training for races. And he's been doing races forever. And he got a new coach. And the new coach, basically said, hey, look, just trust my process, trust my system, and it's going to get you where you want to go. And they completely changed his typical training regimen. And he said the impacts have been just astronomical. His speeds, his endurance, everything his technique, everything has gotten better. So it's really interesting when you talk about, running a marathon or doing a triathlon or, whatever it is that you aspire for. How many different approaches are there to get there? But also the work that goes into it, right? I mean, in October, you're going to run a marathon and people are going to see you and go, oh man, Mark, he ran a marathon. He must be a runner. Little do they know, right? Little do they know you started that first day with probably jogging, the 1.5 miles or 3 miles. And next thing you know, 26.2, or you might even do 26.8 because you might get lost. But
where's the road?
That's one of my favorite bumper stickers. It says something like 28.4. I got lost.
That's funny.
That's funny shit.
So the idea of the system, though, that's interesting because I think of the metaphors of working out in the early days for me when I was in college. I just kind of lifted the weights, and I would get stuck, and I wouldn't see progress. And then it was like I come to find out there was methods and there were ways to do this. There was knowledge and science, and business for me was no different. Just try really hard, try to sell, try to figure it out. Come to find out there's ways to do this, and you can make things more efficient. And I think when I work out now, I can do certain lifts once a week and have more gains, be super efficient and keep my body strong as compared to when I was in college. I was doing that same lift every 4 days, and I wasn't making the progress that I have now because I have some science on my side, and I have my goals clearly in my mind. That's a big part of it as well. But in business, there's a lot of moving pieces. In sales, there's a lot of moving pieces, and it's if you just every day is just try to run. Pardon me. If every day is to try to run a little bit further, a little bit faster, it's gonna suck, and it's gonna get hot, and you're gonna feel like a failure.
Absolutely right. Every day is not a marathon, right? As you're training for marathons, you're doing 2, 4, 6, 8. 4, 8, 3, there's this yo-yo effect so that the body can recover, and then you're doing speed drills and you're changing the cadence so that you're working different muscles and working cardio versus whatever. But I agree with what you're saying completely with business. Number one is working hard is not always the answer, right? I mean, working hard will get you somewhere, but having a game plan, having a strategy, and knowing yourself and knowing what you need to be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to achieve what you have set. But also, I mean, knowing what you're trying to achieve. You know, you've got a date set. You said, I'm going to run a marathon in October, and so if you get that little pamphlet and it says, you know, this is a 6-month training program. You say, okay, October, you know, back it out. So April, I have to start, you know, in order to run this program and be able to run this marathon in October. You know, you had to have a finish line. You had to have a goal. You had to have a target to know what to do to prepare to get there. And too many of us, you know, to your point, we're exercising without a goal. We're running without a goal. We're working without a goal. And so you just get up every day and you just try to grind it out. And some days you have success, some days you don't. Some days you hit the wall and don't know why, right? And if you're hitting that wall and you don't know why, how do you know how to diagnose it? Obviously, when you were running and you hit the wall, you knew, you know, it's hotter and it's more humid, so that's going to have an effect on you. So, you know, in business and in sales.
The theme is aimless, mindless, max effort or minimum effort is not training. You know, that's not it. I mean, your friend, the coach, I mean, I know based on my experience that he didn't say, okay, today, now try harder than yesterday. And tomorrow we're going to try harder than today.
That's right.
That's not the training plan. It was like, go up, down. You know, this is a specific type of work we're going to do. And we're going to do something to a certain level. Very intentional. And we have to apply the same things. And this is going to maybe seem a little bit counterintuitive, and not, stop me if we've already talked about this, but the idea of the 20-mile march. So we talked about the 20-mile march and the expeditions to the South Pole.
I don't think so.
So Jim Collins talks about it in Great by Choice, I believe, and I've heard it a couple different times. But he talks about the 2 expeditions that were going to the South Pole, and they were going to the same place. And the difference is that one of the teams would just sort of make an assessment of the weather in the situation and get as far as they could get. If it was good weather and good conditions, they'd go really, really far. And if it was terrible conditions, they would hunker down. The other team says, I've done the math. It's 20 miles every day. And on some days it's going to be tough, and some days it's going to be easy, but we're just going to do the 20 miles, and that's our thing. And we're going to understand how to get the 20 miles done. And at the risk of messing this up, I'm not even going to quiz you as to which one you think won. As it turns out, or not one. One of them made it. One of them died. The whole crew was lost in the one that tried to opportunistically try to figure it out and take advantage of it. And why that's important is when I push a company and a team to make sure they're looking at their scorecard every week and checking the activities and making sure the numbers are where they need to be so they can hit that 20-mile march. Sometimes I have lost sight in the past that it's not just about trying to get more out of your day, more out of your week and push your people harder. I see a lot of companies now who there's so much opportunity. It's just like free running. They're going full out sprint. And what happens is they're starting, sales are going up. Everything's looking good there. And they're like, I don't understand, but some of our best people are burning out. What do we do about that? And so the consequence of taking too much, the consequence of getting greedy, the consequence of not having a plan and knowing, you know, what you can do to push yourself. Is it hotter than you think?
Right.
Did you if you're going to run 5 extra miles and it's 10 degrees hotter, did you drink enough water? Do you have enough? Do you know the hiring ratios of revenue to staff and efficiency and overtime? And do you have those things?
Yeah. So the crew that made it were the one that did 20 miles a day, regardless of
they had a
conditions.
Plan. Yep.
And not only did they have a plan, but it was incremental progress, right?
Incremental progress for sure.
Yeah. You know, instead of
the consequences. I think it's to recognize it's a complex system. To just say it's not just about getting more miles. It's about what are the consequences. Do you have the food? What are the resources going to be? We know how to make 20 miles rock. We know what 20 miles looks like. We know what time we're going to bed. We know what time we're getting up. We know that we've got less variables, and we can move the ones that matter most.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's interesting because when we start, and probably much like you experienced with your clients, when you've got someone who's starting with almost nothing, right? They don't have a lot of structure. They've been working hard for a long time, but they want to start working smart, want to start working efficiently. And you start creating some KPIs or key performance metrics. You start creating some behaviors or activities that need to be implemented on a consistent basis. Like in sales, there's some sort of outbounding that needs to be done. There's some sort of account management communication that needs to be done. There's some sort of, upsell, cross-sell dialogue there, whatever that might be. For people who haven't ever worked a plan, there's this tendency to want to do a lot. Oh, I've never done anything. Let's just go. I'm gonna do 100 calls a day. Well, how many did you make last week? I didn't make any last week. So 100 a day might be a bit of a long putt. Why don't we start with 5? Let's start with something that we know we can do consistently. And if it's easy, then you just add more to it, and then just add more to it. And so, much like you in running, right? If you're going to try to start doing something different tomorrow than you did today, don't try to just go out and run a marathon, right? Go out and buy a pair of shoes that fit and that give you support, and start walking, right? And then start jogging. But it's the incremental growth and incremental improvement to get somewhere. Not thinking that you're just going to flip a light switch and all of a sudden be a different person today than I was yesterday.
I got this from something I was listening to recently, and I don't know if it was Stephen Kotler or something else, but something got in my mind that when you're on the path to something important and you fail, that's not an unintended consequence. That's the journey. That's the whole reason you trained. That's the whole, because if where you are is here and you want to get higher, you're not here, and there's reasons for that, right? What are those reasons? You have to find out what they are, and they look like failure. They look like that's why I'm not up there, because I haven't figured this piece out. And so when you blow past the 20-mile march to 40 miles, 60 miles, you're skipping steps. You're putting yourself in territory you're not trained to handle yet. You need to work your way through the stages and learn each of these pieces. And before you make 40 calls, there are certain things where this doesn't exactly apply, but if you want to be really efficient with your 100 calls a week, 5 calls a week will teach you a lot of things about, well, I tried to do them at 8, but that didn't work for these reasons. And I tried to do them at 5 and no one, and it's okay. So let's work our way up the ladder of learning. And by the time you've got the exact right amount of calls, you've got maximum effectiveness. You have earned the skills that you needed to earn by working your way up the ladder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aside from prospecting, what other areas do you find that you work with your clients, specifically on leadership, on things that they should be doing on a regular basis that's going to help them, compete in the marathon, right? So from a leadership perspective, what are those behaviors or activities that you encourage them to do on a regular basis in some variable, right? In either a whole bunch or a little tiny amount that they do on a regular basis to shoot towards a goal.
Well, there's a million little things, but if there's only one thing,
give me the top 3 or 5. I mean, however many you want to share. We don't need a million. We don't have that kind of time.
Well, you're getting one.
I'll take it.
And you're gonna like
I better write this shit down.
You better. Take space to observe yourself. Because here's the deal. We know clearly that everybody pretty much acts on habits, right? So if the researcher's in, everybody is mostly habitual, automatic responses. 90% of what you do is that way. And so if you're getting exactly what you want from your life, if performance is exactly where you need it to be and you're 100% happy, then there's no reason to change. But if you want something more, if you want to land someplace specific and it's not going to happen just automatically without any thought, then the only way to change that is to stop and make the patterns and make those habits go away with a clarity break, with stillness and mindfulness and intentionality of a blank sheet of paper. What we call it in the EOS world is a clarity break, taking 90 minutes at least once a week to just ask yourself what's going on and do that systems check to make sure what is the progress? Did we make 20? How is 20 miles working for us? What we need to do. And you just have to self-assess, self-observe, and make sure you're just tweaking those systems. Because if you're, especially right now, I'm speaking to, I say when I say that, I mean of all the companies right now who are feeling a great deal of abundance, and especially coming out of a time of scarcity, it feels like you don't want to waste that abundance, and so you go to work. But if you're not taking that time to observe, everything in your life is automatic, and you're not in control of it, and you need to be in control of it. You need to, if you're running that marathon, like, is that ankle getting worse every week, or is it getting better every week? And do I need to take a step back, or am I, 6 weeks from now, am I going to be limping everywhere I go and not running that marathon at all? And you have to be able to look at that kind of stuff.
All right. So conceptually, I get it. Mm-hmm. So how do you do that? How do you make that time and create that perspective to be able to look in yourself? I mean, hell, most people don't know where a mirror is to begin with, right? I mean, it's always looking through the window panes at, oh, here's all the problems. The problems are all out there, versus, looking in the mirror going, okay, what are we doing? How are we doing? How am I doing?
Well, your attitude has to come into play right away. So you have to have a belief that this would be worthwhile. And if and if you've got that out of the box, then let's figure out how to remove the obstacles. And sometimes that's about moving your location. Let's figure out, where can I put myself for 90 minutes where I will not be distracted, and let's bring just a blank sheet of paper. Maybe it's a Starbucks situation. Gino Wickman always called it his Starbucks time, and so he just went to Starbucks. I don't drink Starbucks anymore. I go to other coffee shops. So actually, in my home, usually it's ideally it's a Wednesday morning, typically depending on my schedule. Wednesday morning is the first part of the day after a long run, and I sit on my porch and I look at nature. I look at the tree that's in front of the house, and I just use that as the time. I understand the cycle of my work week and make sure I'm not trying to put this in time that's going to be attacked and interrupted. Mm-hmm. But the first thing to treat this, though, this is not indulgent time. This is not personal. This is not spa. This is not, not getting a massage. This is a business leadership activity that, when done well, brings the best out in you and provides for your company at a level that no other activity you do can provide. You have to protect your creativity, your leadership, your self-observation. And so find a place and find a time and honor yourself, and force others in your leadership team to do the same thing, and make sure you have a culture of this importance.
So when you're doing that, because I think you made an important distinction, right? This isn't a spa time. This isn't time to just relax and and breathe and become zen. It's reflection. It's deliberate. It's intentional. What kind of things do you, when you're having that moment, what kind of things are you specifically playing in your head? What are the questions you're asking yourself? Do you have a checklist that you say, okay, here's the things that I've been working on, here's my top 6 priorities, or what is it, what drives that thought for 90 minutes?
So contextually, I said 90 minutes. Sometimes it's longer than that. Sometimes half a day. And you got to figure out what your rhythm is. Some people can get into flow with this quickly and be productive in 30 minutes. I would expect that most people could not. And some people, it takes them 2 hours. And so they got to get out of the office for a half a day or longer before they do this. So first of all, just give yourself some compassion. You sit down at the table, and you get your coffee and you got your pad, and you're like, this sucks. I don't get it. Give yourself at least 30 minutes to answer these questions. What am I doing? What am I doing with my life, my time? What the hell am I trying to do? Is this the right stuff? And let that sit. And then ask, is it working? Is it working? Am I going the right path? And then if you've got depth on that, you've probably got tons. But from there, you can sort of say, like, obviously, if it isn't working, what are some things I could change? What's going wrong with this? And from there, that's the biggest thing. Those 3 questions philosophically cover it. Like, if you can get good at that, you're solid. But sometimes I look for more content, so I'll pull out either my personal plan or my VTO for the business and make sure I just kind of get plugged back into what are the core values. what's the core focus? This is where we're going 10 years from now. And then that gives me a little bit of backdrop of like, what am I doing? This is crazy,
Right.
or this is exactly right. And is it working? And what could I change? And I just really just let it ponder and let the pot stir. And that's when, if we can get into kind of that flow state of where things could be going, suddenly 30, 40 minutes, sometimes even 60 minutes into 90 minutes, it's like the last 30 minutes might be oh my gosh, we got to do this. Okay. I can't believe this is been staring me in the eyes for months or years, and I've just been ignoring it. I need to make this one change right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. That's great. That's good. That's good food for thought. So on your birthday today, will you have an opportunity to sit and reflect and think about, what are you doing and how are you doing it?
There might be a little bit of time. Actually, on Mondays, I have a personal level 10. So it's not the clarity break exactly for that. But what I do is I do plug back into my personal plan, my VTO, make sure those are on track. I have 2 coaching sessions today with 2 individual separate coaches. I am a coach, and I consume coaching because what I think would be obvious reasons that I continue to want to get the best out of myself, for my family, for my friends, for my clients, and just kind of keep reaching higher and higher. So I've got 2 coaching sessions tonight. It was not exactly intentionally planned so to have both of those back to back. So there's going to be a lot of self-development today. That's for sure.
Good. Well, man, I'm glad we had the opportunity to catch up on your birthday. And I think this was a great topic for a birthday, right? Every year, whether it's personal or professional, taking the time to figure out, what am I doing? What am I trying to accomplish? And what am I doing to get there? And how's it going? I think that's a great message for today, and a great reflection that we need to be doing more regularly, because we tend to do that on our birthdays, right? We tend to think about that, once a year. Man, how is my life? But it's really something that needs to be done more regularly.
I agree. And I did my run this morning because I'm consistent. I train a guided run, and asked the coach asked in the recorded coaching, said, what do you want out of the last, or what do you want to take away from this run? And I don't remember, there was more to the question, but it left me with this perspective of feeling grateful. I wanted to feel grateful. And that was how I felt. And it kind of ties back to, I remember in college or high school, like, I'm not going to work on my birthday. Who works on their birthday? And I'm like, somebody who likes what they do, somebody who's grateful for the opportunity, somebody who, like, I'm not exactly sure what other better time would be. There are good things to do, but I'm happy to work on my birthday. I'm happy to do this kind of stuff. It's, I feel in control of those choices, and it's a good place to be. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the people in my world, and grateful for the opportunity and the privilege to be doing something like this, just to fire up a laptop and just kind of talk and have people listen and give us feedback. It's a privileged life.
Awesome. Well, I couldn't find a better way to wrap it up than that. So I'd say let's bring it home from there.
All right. I'm not even going to try to recap myself. You did that so well. Grateful for the time, and we'll see you next week. I'm playing to win with me and my good friend Brad.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
See you.